Okay, so in our previous three classes, we have covered up the introduction of AI, basics of AI, and what is the difference between AI and all the other procedural algorithms, and what is the basic features of AI. And then we have discussed about the agents and its basic architecture of any AI-based agent. So this total module, introduction and up to AI-based agents, this total module you will find in your Schoology course today, after today evening. I'm just going to upload this total module, the total notes, what we have discussed regarding the introduction to AI and artificially intelligent agents. This total module will be uploaded within today evening in your Schoology AI course. So today we are going to start. Today we are going to start a new module, that is problem space and state space search. Problem space and state space search. So do you have any idea what you mean by problem space or state space? Anyone? Anyone can answer me? Any idea about what is problem space or state space? Anyone, you can answer me with your simple algorithm logic. Not any AI is required to answer this question. Okay, so problem space is nothing but your whole problem. In any when we are trying to find out any algorithmic explanation of any problem, we call the total problem as a problem space. It is called as a problem space. Now, in this problem space, say my problem is that a very real life problem I'm taking for an example. Say it's a TSP type problem, traveling salesman problem. That is, a salesman is going to travel through a network, through an area, and there are so many locations are there within that area, and that traveling salesman has to visit each and every location, but without repeating it. It's a kind of traveling salesman problem. There are so many variations of this TSP problem. We know that Hamiltonian path is there, non-cyclic network is there. So this is the basic and very simple traveling salesman problem I am talking about. So if you take this problem as an example, that your total problem space is this total problem. That means the salesman has to travel throughout the network and has to visit all the localities without repeating any of them, but they have to visit all the locations. So if this is your problem, so this problem is called as the total problem space. Now each and every location is one of your state space. Each and every location will be called as one of the state space of your total problem. Now there is an initial node or initial state space, or the root node, from here where you will start your uh, movement, and then you have to reach to the goal or to the target through this intermediate, all of these intermediate nodes or all of this intermediate state space. So this is called problem space, and in between this problem space, all the other intermediate nodes present in the problem, like in traveling salesman problem, there all the other intermediate locations are the intermediate nodes or state space. Or the problem is like that, you have to reach from one source to destination. Okay, and in between this source to destination there are n number of intermediate nodes, and you have to find out the shortest path from the source to destination through these intermediate nodes. Okay, so there also this total problem is a problem space, and all the other intermediate nodes, including your source node as well as your destination node, this all of these nodes are your state space within this problem space. Okay, and in the in this, among this state space, there will be one your source node, one or initial state space, and another one or more than one will be your goal state or target state. So this total explanation is called as problem space or state space search strategy. So today, in our today's lecture, not only today's lecture, but coming 2 or 3 lectures, we will discuss about this state space search strategy. So now when we will go for this state space search strategy, this searching strategy can be divided in 2 broad categories. One is called as heuristic based search and another is called as adversarial search. What I have a little bit, I have given you a little bit cue of this heuristic based search and adversarial search in our last class or in our yesterday's class. Okay, so today we will start with this state space search strategy and we will start with heuristic based searching algorithm. So let's start with our presentation, PPT presentation. So I'm going to share it. Okay, everyone can see this. Everyone can see these slides.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So today we will start with these problems, problem space and search. That means searching strategy. So let's see. So what I have told you just now, this is your problem space. The total problem, that is this big space, that is called as your state space, this problem space. Okay. Now all of these intermediate nodes, all of these small circles within this big area, that is called the intermediate nodes or the state space. Okay. Now, as you can see that green color circle, that is your initial state. It's a special state within all of this intermediate state because this is the initial state. We have to start our action from this initial state. And there are some more than one red circles. These red circles are goal state. As you can see in AI based problem, there may be one or more than one goal state. Okay, one or more than one goal state is possible for this kind of AI based problems or AI based agents. In our previous day classes, we have discussed about that. In goal based AI system means there will be only one goal, one target. But if you think about any utility based AI system, I have told you that utility based AI system is basically this type of AI system is capable of targeting multiple number of goals. Okay. So a problem space can have one initial state. Obviously, one initial state, this is must. Initial state can't be more than one. So one initial state and one or more than one goal state or target state. And in between this initial state and goal state, there will be a number of intermediate states. Okay. Now we have to flow. We have to do our actions. We have to do our actions to change this, to change the state space from one state to another state. Okay. So the search problem consists of the following. As you can see here, S, capital S, this is the full set of states. As you can see in this um, picture, that is the set, S is the full set of states. S0, that is the initial state. Okay. And A colon S to S, that is a set of operator. A is a set of operator. Set of operator means by which you are going to change your states, by which you are going to change the position or the you are going to change your state space from one state to another state. Otherwise, we can't reach to the target or reach to the goal. We have to, after each and every level, we have to change our state from the initial state to the target state. Okay, so we can do that by using different types of actions, and actions means it's a set of operators. It's a set of operations. So A is the set of operations, which means A colon S tends to S, means we are changing our state from the initial state or the current state to the next state. Okay, and G is the goal state or the final state, where G belongs to S. Okay, so G is the basically subset of the superset S, because capital S is the superset. It includes all the states, including initial state and goal state and all the other intermediate states. So this is basically the theoretical explanation of state space. Now we will see how we can search, how we can do searching in this state space. Okay. So as you can see here, there are three categories of searching techniques for the state space search. One is uniform search, another is heuristic based search, and another is adversarial search. So according to the uniform searching strategy, you can see here BFS, DFS, and depth limited search and bidirectional search are there. These are the different types of searching techniques according to the uniform searching algorithm. Okay, so I think already you know that is breadth first search and depth first search, that you already know. I think already you have covered this DFS and BFS in your normal algorithm. Is it so?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. So I am
Yes,
not
sir.
going to, yes, these are basically the prerequisite algorithms. So I am not going to go into the details of this BFS and DFS, as because this is already covered in your previous algorithm sessions, algorithm classes. So nothing to tell about this BFS or DFS. But uh, in I'm just going to give you the core idea of this BFS and DFS. So as you have already studied it, can anyone tell me what is the difference between BFS and DFS? Anyone? What is the difference between these two algorithms, BFS and DFS? Breadth first search and depth first search. What is the difference between these two algorithms? You have already studied it. So any one of you can answer me? You should answer this, because already I think
Sir,
yes. Who is it?
sir, BFF, sir, Ropita.
Roprita. Okay, tell me.
We use stack in BFF and queue in BFF.
Stack in.
In BFF.
Why? Why here stack and there queue?
Because in stack we know that fast in, fast out. So they first search. The fast in, fast out will maintain.
That what you are trying to say, that is basically the data structural implementation of these algorithms, BFS and DFS. That is okay. So what is the logic behind this? Because every data structural implementation, there is a logic. You should know that. What is the logic behind this? Why we use stack here and why we use queue there? It is already covered in your algorithm now, in your last semester. Is it covered in your algorithm class?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, मैं
Okay.
बोलूं?
Yes, tell me.
Sir, in BFS, we use BFS mostly when we have to search around our closer things. Like for the name itself, we search the breadth first, like around, like left or right of that node particular. In DFS, we go for the depth search. For example, if we are searching anything that is away from the search point or the starting point, there we use depth first search, I guess.
Absolutely. Very close answer. Thank you, Rishabh. Very close answer it is. And Roprita, what Roprita is trying to say, that is also correct. But Roprita is trying to answer in data structural view. But behind this data structural view, there should be some logic, algorithmic logic, by which we are going to implement the data structure actually. But both of you are correct. But the main logic, what Rishabh is trying to say, that is in breadth first search, the fan out based search is doing here. The fan out of the tree is very large. In each and every level of the searching tree, we are going to exhaustively check all the children in each and every level. And then we are trying to find out the most suitable or the most possible child and proceed with that child. This is the technique used in breadth first search. So first we are going to search breadth wise according to the fan out of the tree. So this process, the advantage of this process, what is the advantage of this process? Anyone can tell me? What is the advantage of this process, BFS?
So if the search point is near, then it is quite easy to like
Yes,
it.
who is it? Who is it?
So Dheeraj.
Dhiraj. Yes, Dhiraj, you are correct. That is the main advantage of BFS is that accuracy. Accuracy. If we use BFS, then the probability of getting the optimal result, probability of getting the optimal result is higher. The accuracy is higher. BFS accuracy is higher. But if the problem space is very large, then we will see the main disadvantage of BFS. That is, it will very much time consuming, because for each and every level, first we are going to search out breadth wise. That means all the same level children, all the same level children will be checked first. Then we have to find out the most possible children or most suitable child and then proceed with that. And we will maintain the same procedure for each and every level of the searching tree. That's why breadth first search is very much accurate. Accuracy is very high because we are exhaustively search. We are going to exhaustively search all the children in a same level for each and every level rather. So the accuracy of this searching technique is very high, but the time complexity is very low. My time complexity is accordingly high actually. The time complexity is also very high. So that is the advantage as well as the disadvantage of breadth first search. So that's why it is said that if the nodes are very closure node, that means the problem space is a very tightly closed problem space or very small problem space, then BFS can give you very good and accurate result. Efficiency of BFS is very high. But if problem space is a very scattered one, or the problem space is very large, then BFS will not work in a very efficient manner. Time complexity will be very high. So in that case, we can use for this scattered problem space or the large problem space, we can use DFS, depth first search. So also from the name, you can identify this search technique is not along with breadth, but along with depth. So randomly, we will pick in each and every level. Randomly, we are trying to, we will start with the first child and we will proceed. If until and unless we will start moving, we will continue moving until and unless we have stuck out. When we have stuck out, then what to do? In depth first search, we are not searching along with the breadth, but along with depth. Okay. So let's see for a searching tree, we have started searching using DFS, and from the root node or the initial node, we have started with the first level. So there is, say, there are n number of children in the first level, and we have started with the first child of the first level, and we are trying to proceed until and unless we have stuck out in any level. So if we have stuck out, then what to do? Anyone can tell me?
So we will pop out the last node. Last node. That's why we use stack with the DFS.
Exactly. So there is a in each, and that's why we are using stack. Absolutely, what Roprida is also trying to say. The logic behind this, what is Rishabh saying? That is, in depth first search, we are trying to find out. We are trying to search about depth-wise of the searching tree, and whenever we are going to stuck out, we will return back. We will return back to the last known best position, last known best child. We will return back to that. And again, then we will try to search the next possible route or the next possible path or the next possible child. So this is the depth first search. So as you can see here, there is no depth-wise searching is there. So it is very easy that time complexity will be very low. That is efficiency. Time efficiency will be high for DFS rather than BFS. But the disadvantage is that it is a kind of greedy searching. We are not going to exhaustively search all the children of each and every level of the searching tree. So that's why we have started with a very greedy approach. We have started with a randomly picked up child from each and every level of the tree, or either randomly picked up or in a particular fashion. We will just try to pick up one child and start proceeding with that child until and unless we have stuck out. Okay, and when we have stuck out, we have to return back to the last known good condition, last known good position, and from there we have to select any other, the next child, which we have already been selected. We will omit that and we will now select the next child. In this way, DFS will proceed. Okay. So both of these algorithms, BFS and DFS, have some advantage and disadvantage. And if you just look very minutely, you will see that both of the algorithms are basically, what can I say, are basically overcome the disadvantage of each other. That's why in heuristic based searching strategy, we will start with another new search, which is called as best first search, as you can see here. Sorry. Best first search. You have already studied, we have already discussed DFS and BFS. So, and we all know the advantage and disadvantages of these two algorithms, BFS and DFS. So, and we can see that the advantages and disadvantages of these two algorithms can overcome the disadvantage of each other, vice versa. So by compiling or by amalgamating these two algorithms, BFS and DFS, a new heuristic based searching strategy has been created or has been explored, which is called as best first search. So we will see how this best first search algorithm will work. And along with this best first search, you can see here hill climbing, what we have discussed in our first class to give you the example of AI based algorithm. So this hill climbing algorithm is also falls under the category of heuristic search strategy. And generate and test is a very naive or basic type algorithm. Basically, all of this hill climbing and best first search, all of these other heuristic based searching algorithms falls in this basic generate and test category. So let's see what is these algorithms. Okay, so let's start with generate and test, the basic algorithmic procedure for heuristic based search. Very easy, only 3 steps: generate a possible solution, second, test to see if this is actually a solution, and 3, quit if a solution has been found, otherwise return to step 1. Now, as you can see, this is also a 3-step architecture. All of these architectures are implemented or created according to the architecture I have discussed you for the subsumption or Brooks mobile robot architecture. The same basic agent level architecture has been maintained here also. As you can see, generate a possible solution, test to see if this is actually a solution, and quit if a solution has been found, otherwise return to step 1. So this is the basic procedure for generate and test algorithm. Next we will see. Okay. Generate and test has these three kinds of solutions. One is exhaustive, another is heuristic based, and the third one is planning based. Okay. So exhaustive means all the possibilities or all the possible combinations within the problem will be exhaustively checked out. So these are called exhaustive generate and test. Heuristic based, not consider all the paths or not considering all the possible combinations or possible state space, but as per the heuristic or as per the constraints, we will try to find out the suitable intermediate state to proceed further. That is called heuristic based generate and test. This is less exhaustive than the previous one. And plan based means in plan based generate and test, we are going to create a candidature list where we are just going to hard code it that which intermediate states should be covered up or should be traversed to reach to the target node or the goal state. So this is more directed search. Planned generate and test is more supervised or more directed searching technique. So let's see. We are starting with this simple hill climbing problem. As you can see here, simple hill climbing problem we have already discussed in this algorithm in our first class. So this is under the heuristic based searching strategy as well as generate and test searching procedure. So first evaluate the initial state, obviously the base condition where we are currently starting with. Then loop until a solution is found or there are no new operators left to be applied. So this is the next step, loop until a solution is found or there are no new operators left to be applied. So under this, select and apply a new operator, evaluate the new state. If it is goal, then quit, or if it is not a goal, better than the current state is found, then go to the new current state. This is the second step. Okay, as you can see here. So I'm going to explain this algorithm. Evaluate the initial state. There is nothing to explain in this first step. So the second step, loop until a solution is found or there are no new operators left to be applied. So when we are in a current state, we will try to find out, the solutions for going to the or to transform to the next state space. So how we can do that? Select and apply a new operator. This function is called as generating function. This function is called as generating function, and this is basically denoted as small g. This is denoted as small g. G within bracket f. This function is called as generating function. Okay, this generating function is used to generate then all new possibilities to transform from the current state to the next state, okay, or to the new operator. So that is called g function or the generation function or generating function. So generating function can be anything. What can be the generating function? For an example, I am taking again the example of the traveling salesman problem. Okay, now in this traveling salesman problem, I am going to share you just wait a bit. I'm going to draw something. Okay, can you see this paint window?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's start with that. This is our initial state. Let's start with this. This is our initial state or the root state. Okay, now say these are the intermediate states. And say this green colored node, this is my target node. Okay, these are the intermediate states. So now, what will be the generating function like that from this initial node? Say this is connected like this. So this is the network. This is our network. So if this is our network, we have started with this red colored initial node. And now what will be the generating function? This is my current node as per our hill climbing algorithm. What will be the generating function? Tell me how we can select the generating function to find out the next possible nodes. Anyone? Any one of you? Any one of you? Just try to recall your algorithmic your algorithm classes, the knowledge of your algorithm classes. From this root node or initial node, how we are going to find out the next possible states.
Sir, by choosing greedy approach, we can proceed to next node.
Greedy approach? Not really.
Sir, we will check the cost. Sir, we will choose the path which cost less.
That is basically the most possible node you are going to select. My question is that how we are going to find out the generating function. Okay. How we are going to find out the generating function. Generating function means the function by which we are going to create the possibilities for the next to find out the next state space, possibility to proceed to the next state space. Okay, let's see. As you can see here, the starting node is S, that is the source node. And here, the simple logic is very simple. All the adjacent neighboring nodes, all the adjacent and neighboring nodes of the source node are the next possible nodes for proceed to the next state. What is the next adjacent nodes? A and C.
A and C, yes, sir, got it.
Next adjacent nodes of the starting node S is A and C. Okay, so we have two possibilities. We have two children. As per hill climbing algorithm, we have two children. Now we have to apply the selection function. Now we have to apply the selection function, or it is called as heuristic function. It is called as H function or heuristic function, by which we will choose between these two, A and C, which will be more suitable for us to proceed for the next state. So for each and every level of this tree, we have to apply two functions. First, the generation function or the generating function, by which we will simply going to generate all the possible children to proceed to the next state, just like this example. We have applied here the generation function, that is the adjacency or the adjacent node of the initial node or the source node S. Okay, we can find it out by using adjacency matrix. I think you have already studied adjacency matrix in your algorithm classes?
Yes,
You
sir.
know, okay, what is adjacency matrix? Okay. So using this adjacency matrix, we can find out if there is any adjacent nodes at all there, or if there is any cycle, or if there is any Hamiltonian paths are there. All of these we can find out through this adjacency matrix. So in algorithmic part of view, to solve any kind of graph or network related problem, adjacency matrix is a very important part. So here also using this adjacency matrix or using this adjacency function, that is our generating function, we can find out that there are possible nodes. The possible nodes or the adjacent nodes are A and C. These are the adjacent nodes of S. So now according to the condition of hill climbing algorithm, now we are going to find out which one is the most suitable path between this, which one will be the most suitable child between this A and C by applying the heuristic function. Now, what is the heuristic function for hill climbing algorithm? Tell me anyone, what is the heuristic function of hill climbing algorithm? Anyone? What is the heuristic function of hill climbing algorithm? The heuristic function for hill climbing algorithm is that heuristics can be like this. For each and every move, for each and every step, we have to be closer to the target. That will be our target. That should be our goal. That should be our target for hill climbing algorithm. For each and every step, for each and every transition between the state space, we have to be closer. We will come closer to the target. That should be the goal or target of the hill climbing algorithm. So every time we are trying to find out which one will be the most suitable node to proceed further between this A and C, we will try to find out that which node will create the shortest distance from the target node T. Which node will create the shortest distance from the target node T? That node will be selected as the most suitable child for in this particular level of the searching tree. Is it clear to all of you? Say I have given, yes, say I have given the weight of these edges, say 2, it is 2, say this is 3, say this is 1, say this is 7. Okay, this is say 5, say this is 4, this is again 2, this is say 3, this is again 4, again it is 5, and say this is say 2 again. Okay, so if these are the value or weight of the edges of this graph, then if we try to solve this using hill climbing algorithm, we can find out that we are in the initial position S. Now using the adjacency matrix, we can find out that there are two possible children are there, A and C. Now which one will be selected first? Tell me, which one will be selected first?
So A should be selected, but later on, I don't think that will be the.
Exactly. A should be selected first because A. Why we'll select A? Because that is the minimum distance from S. A has the minimum distance from S. SA is 2 and SC is 3. So we will select A. Now we are in A. Now again we will apply the generating function over here according to hill climbing algorithm. And this generating function is again the adjacency function. We will check the adjacency matrix from A. So what will be the adjacency matrix from A?
B
What
and
is
T.
that? B and D, exactly. B and D are the adjacent nodes of A. So AD is 3 and AB is 4. So we will select AD. We will select AD. Okay. So now we are in D. So what are the adjacent nodes in D? A is already explored, so we will not going to select A again. So what will be the adjacent nodes of D?
B and G, sir.
B and G. So B is already explored as the adjacent node of A. So we will not again explore B. We have only G. So there is no other option for checking. So G is the only child, only option. So we will go to G. Now G has the adjacent nodes E and T. D is already explored, so we will not consider D. So G has the adjacent nodes E and T. So in between then, which one will be selected? E, because of G is 5 and GT is 7. Okay. So we will select GE, that is 5. Now we are in E. E has the adjacent node C and T. Okay, C and T. Okay, so if okay, sorry, there is a mistake I have done. That is from G, when we will select the adjacent node E and T. In between this E and T, T is already the target node. So we will directly go to the target node. There is no option for going to E because T is the target node. So we will just go to T. So the path, according to this hill climbing algorithm, the path has been selected SADGT, and this is the path we have selected. Okay, so any problem for this? Any
No, sir.
issues for this?
No, sir.
But there is an issue. Someone of you is going to tell me that initially, sir, we will select A, but later we have to select C or something like that. Who is trying to say that? Just when I'm explaining, someone of you is going to tell me that, sir, initially we have to select A,
Sir,
but
what I said was from coming from SCET, then the minimum cost was 9. So which was less than the cost that you have traveled, and that's
that
what I was
is
saying.
the thing you are using here. It is not applied in hill climbing algorithm. In hill climbing algorithm, according to the what is the logic, what is the algorithm, or what is the logic of this hill climbing technique? The logic is that every time staying in the current state, we will try to find out all the possible routes to proceed further. So to find out all of these possible routes, a generation function we will use. That generation function for this graph we have used here the adjacency function. So according to the adjacency function, we have created, or we have explored the adjacent nodes like A and C, which are the adjacent node of S. Now in between this A and C, between these two nodes, we have to select one to proceed further. So how we will select one? Which has the minimum distance from S, that we will select. Okay, that we will select, and we will proceed with the node A. That is the simple hill climbing algorithm. That is the logic of simple hill climbing algorithm. But as you can see here, this algorithm doesn't guarantee you the most optimal path from the source to the target. This is the problem. This is the disadvantage of hill climbing algorithm. As you can see in this example, we have selected S. We have selected according to this path. We have selected S, then A, then D, then G, and then T. This is the path we have selected. And what is the total cost of this path? 2 plus 3, 5, 1, 6, 7, 13. 5, 6, 6 and 7, 13. Yes. 13 is the total cost of this path. But there are so many other paths which we can follow from source to target according to this graph. We can see that SCET. If we follow this path, that is S, then C, then E, and then T. If we follow this path, we'll find out that 3 plus 4, 7, 7 plus 2, 9. So this is the cost of this path, SCET. Obviously, which is better than SADGT. So as we can see here, hill climbing algorithm doesn't guarantee us the optimality of the result. We can reach to the target, obviously, but it is not guarantee us the optimality of the result. There may be more optimal solution from the source to the target. To overcome this problem, to overcome these disadvantages of this hill climbing algorithm. So now I'm just, is it okay to all of you? Is this clear what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
then
sir.
I'm just closing this and I'm going back to the presentation. Okay, as you can see here, so according to this hill climbing algorithm, better than the current state, evaluate the new state, select and apply a new operator, evaluate the new state. If this new state is the goal state, then quit. Otherwise, choose the better one from the current state. So these are the simple logics of simple hill climbing algorithm. So there also in that graph example, we have applied adjacency function to find out the next possible children, and to select the most suitable children, we have checked the adjacency from the current node, the distance from the current node, and according to that we will select the child and then proceed further, repeating the same logic. So just we are going to show you, these are the disadvantages of the hill climbing algorithm. As you can see here, hill climbing algorithm is a purely local searching algorithm, and this algorithm, as you can see here, according to this example, this algorithm doesn't guarantee you all the time the optimality of your output, optimality of your result. You will reach to the target, but the route may not be the most optimal one. There may be some other more optimal way to reach to the target. That is the first disadvantage of hill climbing algorithm, because of its local searching, because it is a local searching algorithm. Another disadvantage, what we have discussed in our early classes, previous classes, that is local maxima. Okay, according to the heuristic or according to the constraint of a particular hill climbing algorithm, sometimes it can be seemed like that we are in the target, but it may not be, because the total area is not visible to the, you cannot, it is not visible to you, the total area is not visible to you. That's why sometimes it seems to be that you are at the top of the hill, or you are reached to the target, or you have achieved the goal, but it may not be. There may be some more higher value target nodes, or higher value goal nodes, or higher value peaks are there, which are beyond your visibility region. Okay, so that is another disadvantage. The second one, we have already discussed this one also, that is called plateau. In plateau problem, a flat area of search space in which all neighboring states have the same value, which I have already discussed. Nowhere you can go, no one you can select that the most as a most possible or most suitable child. Okay, so that is another disadvantage. For an example, I'm just again going back to that graph related problem. Sorry. And this is the reach problem I have discussed earlier. that is the orientation of high region in a particular direction, you will find out the same ranking intermediate nodes. But if you just deviate from that particular direction, you will get the lower value nodes. So this type of problem is called as ridge problem. Okay, so if we just going back to the same our graph problem, you can see here, if we just erase the value, if we just erase this value from 3, and if we have changed this value from 3 to again from 3 to 2, sorry, where is the brush? Again from 3 to 2, then now it is difficult. Now it is difficult for us to choose which one will be the most suitable child to proceed further, A or C. Both of them has the same value. So now it is difficult for us to choose which one is the best possible child to proceed further. So this type of problem is called as plateau problem. All the adjacent or neighboring values, according to our visibility, all of these nodes are with same value. So we can't decide where we have to proceed, which one will be the best possible child node. That is difficult to select. So this is called plateau problem. Okay. And local maxima problem may be like this. If here, if each and every node is assigned with a value, and we do not know what is the actual value of the target node, or we only know that we have to reach to the highest position, highest node of this graph, but we do not know which one is the our target node. In that case, whenever we will try to find out each and every node, we will explore each and every node, we have to check this node with all the other explored node. If this node is higher than the other explored node, then we are in the current position, then we are in the suitable position, and we have to check all the unexplored nodes. But if we are not in that highest position, then we have to check all the adjacent or neighboring nodes to find out if there is any other node which is higher than the current node. Say, for an example, I am saying like that. Say we will assign the value like this for each and every node. Say S to A. When we are coming at A, we will assign the value this 2 to A. Now the value of this node is 2. Now the value of this node is 2. Now check it with all the other neighboring nodes. What are the other explored node? That is S, D, and B. These are the adjacent nodes of A. S, D, and B. So let's see. If we consider D, what will be the value of D? What will be the value of this node D? 2 plus 3, that is 5. 2 plus 3, that is 5. What will be the value of the node B? 2 plus 4, that is 6. This is the value of this node, weight of this node B. So D has the value 5 and B has the value 6. Okay, so according to this new heuristic, which node will be selected within this D and B? Which node will be selected? D has the
D.
value 2 plus 3, 5, and B has the value 2 plus 4, 6. So according to this new heuristics or new constraint, which node will be selected?
D, sir, obviously.
Obviously, D will be selected because D has the higher value than comparing to its neighboring nodes. So in this way, for hill climbing algorithm, using these heuristics, we can find out, we can check that the current state is higher than the other neighboring or explored state or not. If it is higher than the explored state, then it is okay. But if it is, then it is okay, and we have to check for the further unexplored nodes. Okay. And in this way, we are trying to find out the target node. Okay. And if it is like that, the situation is like that for a particular node, we are not getting any other adjacent node which is higher than this one, which is higher than this current node, then it might happen that this current node will be selected as the target node or the goal state or the peak of the hill. As because we do not know what are the other nodes are still unexplored beyond our visible area, that we do not know. That's why this fault can happen. Okay, that's why this error can happen. This is another disadvantage, which is called as local maxima. Okay, so this is plateau local maxima, and ridge is that according to a particular direction we are getting some same value nodes, but in all other direction we are getting the nodes which are lower in value, which are lower than the current state. So we can only proceed with that same direction. Only the same direction we can proceed. No in other direction we will proceed, because all of them are the lower value than the current one. We will not proceed to the lower value again, because for hill climbing algorithm, that is the primary heuristics, we have to always climb up. We have to always climb up. So we will never proceed to the lower value nodes. Okay. But here we are getting these higher value nodes in a single direction. This problem is called as the ridge problem. Okay, so I'm again going back to the presentation. Okay, so these are the disadvantages of hill climbing algorithm. So first one is we can't expect or we can't guarantee the optimality of the result. We can't guarantee the optimality of the result. That is the first thing. And the second one is local maxima. It seems like that, according to the heuristics, it seems like that the current node is higher than all the other explored node. We have already, all the other node we have already traversed as per our adjacency table, as per our adjacency table, or as per our neighboring node. Okay, all the nodes are lower than me. All the nodes are lower than the current node. So we are at the highest position or the top position or the goal state. We are already achieved the goal state, but it may not be, because there are some other nodes which are beyond visibility from this current state. Until and unless we have explored all these other nodes, we can't say that we have reached to the target. So that is another disadvantage of hill climbing algorithm, local maxima problem. The next one was plateau problem that I have said you with that example, that according to the value of the next adjacent neighboring nodes, all of these nodes has the same value. So how we will proceed, how we will select any one of them as the most suitable or the most possible nodes to explore further. So there is no scope for that. So this problem is called as plateau problem, and the ridge problem I have just discussed. So these are the disadvantages of hill climbing algorithm. So any query or any question up to this, please tell me. If you have any query up to this, according to this hill climbing algorithm, if you can ask me, if you have any query. So these are the possible way out. These are the possible ways out uh, to overcome these difficulties of hill climbing algorithm, these disadvantages of hill climbing algorithm. That is backtrack. We can backtrack to the previous most suitable node to try in some different direction. That means to try some new, to select some new node that I have already told you. That is, if you have stuck out, as hill climbing algorithm is not guaranteed the optimality of the result. If you have stuck out in any step, then you have to go back. You have to go back to the previous node to find out the next most suitable child to proceed further. So that is called backtrack. Or you can make a big jump. You can make a big jump to a new section. That means using that adjacency matrix, you can use some via media path to overcome this plateau problem, where all the possible child nodes are with same value. So to overcome this, you can make a big jump. That is, say A, C, both of these nodes A and C are with the same value 2, and A has the adjacent node connected with, say, D, and C has an adjacent node connected with, say, E. Okay, so now to overcome this problem of plateau problem, we can jump from A to E or A to D, directly jumping over this node, say C and D. Okay, we can jump over to the next via media node E. Okay, so in that case, we will get 2 plus 3. If you consider this, again, we can consider this graph I'm showing you. This one. So both of these A and C, values of both of these child is same, 2. So now we can jump over. According to the hill climbing algorithm, we can jump over this A and C directly to D, because ACE has a via media connection with D through A. In that case, the value of D will be 5. And if we just jump over here, say not only C but to E, in that case, the value of E will be 6, because 2 plus 4 is equal to 6. So now ACE has jumped over to the next section, D and E, with the via media connection A and C, that is 5 and 6. In between these two, we can find out the most suitable one. E is the most suitable one. So we can select E, because E has the higher value than D. D has the value 5 and E has the value 6. So we can select E as the next most suitable child. So this is called jumping over it. Okay. So is it clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you face any problem, just tell me, because it is a virtual class. If you do not respond, we can't find your problem. We can't solve your problem. So if you face any problem, any difficulties, just tell me. So this is called jump over. That is another solution to get rid of these disadvantages, plateau disadvantage of hill climbing algorithm. And another third solution, third way out is moving in different direction. Moving same time in different direction. Moving same time in different direction means this is basically the solution of reach problem. Okay, if we stuck out in reach problem, then we have to move simultaneously with different child nodes in different direction, and exhaustively we have to search out all the child nodes with these jumping options, so that to jump 1 or 2 steps, we have to check that if we are getting any possible solutions or not. If we get any possible solution, we have to proceed with this particular child node. Okay, so the ways out are that, the first of all, backtracking, that can solve the optimality, the lack of optimality of this hill climbing algorithm, because I have told you earlier that hill climbing algorithm doesn't guarantee you the optimality of the result. Okay, so if you have stuck out in any intermediate step or any intermediate level of this hill climbing algorithm, there is only way out is there. you have to backtrack to its previous node, and again you have to select the next most possible, next most suitable node to proceed further. Okay, so that is the backtracking path. And the second one is jumping to the next section. That I have told you, this is the solution for ridge and plateau problem. As you can see here, the adjacent node A and C, these are the adjacent node A and C of the adjacent node of S. Both have the same value 2, so we can jump over it. We can jump over A to reach to D. We can jump over C to reach to E. And after jumping over A, what will be the value of D? 2 plus 3, 5. And what will be the value of E? That is 2 plus 4, 6. So now we have to check in between these two nodes, D and E, which one will be suitable. So easily we can find out that E is the most suitable. So we will take path SC, then C to E, S to C, then C to E. Okay, so this is the solution for this plateau and ridge problem. Okay, so is it okay to all of you up to this hill climbing algorithm? Because this is the end of today's class. So if you have any problem, you can ask me. And how you will find out this jumping option? Using that adjacency matrix. Because whenever you will get this graph, or you will try to find out, you will try to frame this problem space, the first thing you have to do that, you have to chalk out the tree in a matrix format, because the mathematical model of a tree is always a matrix. For any kind of tree, the mathematical representation of any kind of tree is a matrix. So obviously you have to create this adjacency matrix at the first initial stage of the problem, and from there you will get to find out that which will be the direct connection and which will be the via media connection from one node to the another node, so that you can make a big jump from one section to another section to avoid this plateau problem, ridge problem, all of these problems. You can jump over from one section to another section. So is there any other problem? If you have any problem, if you have any query, you can ask me. Anyone have any query? Okay, so this is going to be the end of today's class. Okay, so thank you very much. Today you just going to find out you are getting your our first module notes on introduction to AI. With those who are not present in the first section of this class, I'll just again repeat it. You will find out a book that is a modern approach to artificial intelligence. That is a Russell Norwich book in your Schoology AI course. As well as today, I am just going to upload module 1, that is the introduction and the basic knowledge of AI, up to the agent subtopic. That notes I am going to upload in our Schoology AI course. You can find out this. Okay, so thank you very much. Tomorrow we will meet again at the same time. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. So do you have any problem with other classes or labs?
No, sir. Everything is
Are you
going good.
facing any problem? Okay. Thank you very much. So next day we will meet at the same time.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Thank you.
Meeting है वो नहीं